Hello students, good morning to everyone. Today's topic is file handling in C language. So, what is a file? Till now, whatever you do with the programs, the output comes from the out programs is not stored permanently on the device because that output will be stored on the RAM. So, RAM is the primary memory, it's a volatile memory. Whenever you switch off the shut down the system, all the data whatever the stored in the RAM will be erased. So to store the data permanently we have secondary storage devices. Those are hard disk, pen drives, CDs, DVDs. The most common secondary storage device is used by everyone is hard disks. Hard disk is meant for, if you see the computer, I will show you what is if you partition the hard disk C, E, F, these are all the parts under the hard disk. These are the permanent storage devices. Now, to store the data on the secondary storage device is nothing but a file. That means a file is a container. A file is a container in computer storage devices used for storing data. So a file is a permanent storage data. A file represents a sequence of bytes on the disk where a group of related data is stored. So that by using files, we can store related data permanently on the secondary storage. So the advantage with the file is whenever a program is terminated or even your system is shut down, your data will be saved permanently. And the one more advantage is if you have a large number of data, it will take a long time to enter the from the keyboard. If you have all the data within the file, you can easily access the data to the program. Okay. Then the another advantage with file is you can transfer the data from one device to another device. That means one computer to another computer, right? This is the file and advantage with the file. Now the next topic is what are the various types of files. We have two types of files. One is text file and another one is binary files. Text files is nothing but a file which contains textual data. These files are ended with .txt format or with .c files or .document files. These files contain normal human readable data. Okay, but the drawback with text files is we there is no security for the there is less security for the data. Okay, next coming to, and it will take a lot of memory to store the text files. For example, examples for the text files are you can open Notepad and type some data and save the data, that is .txt file, or Word document or .c files. These are all files comes under the text files. The second one is binary files. Binary files are in the form of zeros and ones. This file in the extension for the binary files is .bin files or .exe files. All these files are stored in the form of zeros and ones. So we cannot read this data, and the security for this data is more when compared with text files. Okay, these are the different files we have to handle in the C. Are you clear, students? The first one is what is a file? A file is represent a sequence of bytes on the disk. That means permanent storage. Then why file? Why do we need to have files? File has advantages. Those are it has permanent storage. The data never be lost, even though system is shut down, and if we have a large number of data, we can easily access and we can easily move data from one computer to another without any changes. Those are the advantages. And coming to types of files, we have two types of files. One is text file and the one is binary file. Text file means what? It's a normal human readable file. It may be ended with .txt or .doc or .c files. All these files are comes under text file. And the advantage with text file is we can easily read, but the drawback is it has a least security when compared with binary files, and it will take large space to store the data. But the coming to the binary files, the drawback is we cannot easily read the data, but the advantage is it has better security and it will take less memory to store the data. Now, what are the various operations to handle the file in C? So the basic file operations are creating a new file. We have to create a new file. After creating that file, we have to open the file. Otherwise, if you have already a file, you have to open the file. So we can create a file, we can open a file. After reading and writing information to a file, for example, if you want to read the data from the file, otherwise, if you want to write some data to the file, you can take the data from the file. That means reading from the file. If you want to store some data on the file, in the file, that means writing information to a file. After completing these operations, finally you have to close the file. Clear? These are the basic operations in the file: creating a file, opening a file, reading data from the file or writing data to the file, and finally close the file. These are the basic file operations. Clear? So the next one is how to work with files. Okay, I already mentioned the basic very first operation is we have to create a file. So how to create a file? Before going to create a file, we need to learn a syntax, that is file space star some pointer name. You know what is int star p? Int star p means what? A pointer to the integer. Like that, file star some pointer means a pointer to the file. So what is the file here? This is predefined data structure which can be used to represent files in the C language. For example, if I want to work with a single file, I need to declare a single pointer. Otherwise, if I want to work with two files, then I need to declare two pointers like this. Another star p. If I want to work with three files, p or some d, like this, you can declare n number of pointers to work with n number of files. This is the basic syntax we have to remember very clearly. How to deal with files is, the very first step is you have to declare a file pointer, a pointer to the file. Clear? Then how to open an existing file or how to create a file. For opening and creating, we have only one syntax, that is fopen. This is the syntax to create or open an existing file. Okay, if you are use fopen function, this function is used to open an existing file. For example, if you clearly observe this one, fopen, the file name is new program.txt. This file is saved under E drive in the folder C program new program.txt. Here you have to clearly mention the path of the file and any mode. So what is the mode? I will explain later. You have to write in the fopen the file name or the file path and mode. Mode may be read, write, and append. I will explain later what is read mode and what is write mode and what is append mode. But this is the syntax to open an existing file. Okay, we can open an existing file. The next point is how to we create a new file. That is the next point, right? So to create a new file, remember we have three modes: read, write, and append. If you write W here, that means write mode. If you write program or file name and mode is the W, you can create a new file. That we'll see after some time. So this is the syntax to create and open a file. This is the basic syntax. All these things I will explain by writing a program, don't worry. For this time you have to remember what is a basic syntax to open or create a file. Okay, clear? This is the open and creating a file. Now I mentioned that we have modes, so let's explain what are the various modes. So the first column is mode, second one is meaning of mode, third one is the description. Okay, now if you open a file with the read mode, we have three modes: read, write, and append for the text files. RB and WB and AB, these are the three modes for binary files. If you open a file with R, that means you are opening that file for reading. Reading means if your file does not exist, it will not give you any file. It will give you an error message that your file is not existing. But if you have already a file in the system, you can open that file by using read mode, but you cannot modify that the file. You just simply read the data from that file. This is the meaning of read mode. Clear? Next, same operation will be applied for the binary file by using R. So once again, I'm telling you, read mode is used for open existing file only. If you do not have any file, if you try to open a file which does not exist on the system, you will get an error message. That's the meaning of the read mode. Next, write mode. If you open a file by using write mode, we have two cases. If the file exists, that file will be open but without any data. All the data will be erased. That means that its contents are overwritten. If the file does not exist, when you are open your file with the write mode, if the file does not exist, one new file will be created with the name you have given to the file. Are you clear? You have to clearly remember that if you open with write mode, if the file does not exist, one new file will be created with the name. If the file is already existing, that the data whatever in that file will be erased or overwritten, and the file will be starting from the beginning. Okay, same thing if you have WB, that means the same operation will be applied for the binary file. Next mode is append mode. Append mode is it's same like write operation. If you open a file with the append mode, if the file is already existing, same file will be opened, but the data will not be erased or overwritten. Your new data will be started from the end point of your existing file. For example, if I have a file sample.txt, in that file, if I have, for suppose in that file, let me show you. Uh, Let me show you one thing. For example, if I have some file .txt file, okay, in this file, hi, hello, welcome to PBS. If I have some data like this in my existing file, if you open that file with the append mode, that existing file will be opened and the cursor will goes for endpoint of your data. This is happening with the append mode. But if whatever the data you write after opening this file, that data will be appended to your existing data. Are you clear? If you have an existing file with the write mode, that file will be opened with and all the data will be erased and cursor will goes to the first starting beginning point of the file. This is the basic difference between append and write mode. Are you clear? The same, if you open the file with the append mode, if the file does not exist, a new file will be created with the name we have given to the file. That's the little bit difference between append and read mode. Same thing, same thing applied for the binary files. If you use the mode as AB, AB is meant for append for binary files. Are you clear? These are the basic file modes in C. So let me revise once again. What are the modes? Read mode, same mode for the binary files RB. What is the read means? If you do not have any file, it will gives you an open error message. Otherwise, if the file is existing, then you can open the file, but you cannot write any data to that file. You can only read the data. Next one, the next one is write mode. If the file does not exist, new file will be created. If the file exists, all the data will be erased. Next one, append. WB is meant for same thing for the binary file. Append mode is for if your file does not exist, new file will be created. If already file is there, the data will be attached to the existing data. AB is meant for same thing for the binary files. Next modes are R plus. Whatever you learned till now, the modes, all the modes will have under plus symbol. Plus symbol means what? Open for both reading and writing. You can open if existing file by using read mode. If you are using R plus, that means that file will be used for both read and write. In the previous case, the R is meant for only for reading. Reading means what? You can use the data, but you cannot modify the data. But if you are using R plus, you can read the data and also you can modify the data and you can add the data. That is the meaning of write. Read means who can use the data, who cannot modify the data. RB plus means what? Same operation for the binary files. W plus means what? We can read and write. Same operations, whatever I explained for the write mode are the repeat for the W plus. So WB plus for binary files with the read and write mode. A plus for both reading and writing. AB plus for binary files. Those are the basic modes. So you have to clearly remember all these modes while you open or create a file. And now coming back to how to create a file. So If you are open a file with the write mode, then you can create a new file. But if you open a with append mode also, you can create a file, but that file must not be existing on your system. Clear? If it is existing, a new data will be attached to the existing data. If you are open with the write mode, there is no problem. Whatever the data you have with the existing file also, it will be erased. Okay. For creating a new file, we have to use the write mode for the textual files and WB for the binary files. Okay. Then how to open fopen of a file name or file path with any mode. So whatever your mode will be, you want, you can open with that mode, but that thing will be depends on the user requirement. Next one, these are the various modes of the file. Finally, whatever the operations you do with the files, you have to close the file. So the syntax to close the file is fclose of pointer. This pointer, whatever the pointer you declared at the beginning of the program, you have to close that file. This is the pointer is declared by you at the beginning of the program. Are you clear? This is all about file modes and file operations in the C language. Once again, I am repeating, what is a file? A file is a sequence of bytes which can be stored on a secondary storage device that can be stored permanently. That is the file. So why do we need to have files? Till now, whatever you do with the programs, the data comes from the in the form of output will be erased whenever you shut down the system, because that data is stored on the RAM. RAM will not store the data permanently. But if you want to store the data permanently, the way is you have to store the data in the file. So the advantage with file is whenever you have a large number of data to enter from the user, that will be take a lot of time and difficult to enter entire data. If you have the data in the file, you can easily access from that file. That is the one advantage. Another advantage, if the file, if you store some data on the file, even though system is shut down, the data will be stored permanently, and you can easily move this data from one system to another system. Those are the advantages. Now, types of files: text files and binary files. Text files in the form of normal textual data are ASCII data. What is ASCII data? ASCII data has symbols, some integer data from every symbol. Okay. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So whatever the characters or any symbols you have in the C, all the symbols will have equivalent ASCII symbol, ASCII number, that is that can be transferred from actual data to the binary format after pressing. For example, if you press some H has some number, ASCII number, or capital A, it has some ASCII number, I think 65 or anything, that will be transferred from the decimal to the binary number on the background of the system. And that is another side, another topic. But what is actual text file is normal human readable data. It has the extension, it may have extension .txt or .c or .doc, anything. Binary files are in the form of zeros and ones. So the advantage with text file is you can easily read data, but the drawback is it take large space to store the data and it has least security. Binary files have more security when compared with text files, and it take a very less space to store the data. These are the differences between text files and binary files. Next, what are the operations in the basic operations in the file? Create a file, open a file, and reading data from the file, and writing information or writing data to the file, and finally close the file. So how to work with files? This is the syntax to declare a file some pointer to the file and open a file. Fopen is the syntax for open and creating file with some modes. So these are the following modes: read, RB, WB, AB. I have explained all these things. And finally, we have to close the file. This is the introduction about the files. The next class, I will explain how to read and write data to the a text file by using C program. Okay, thank you.